Welcome to Behind the Paranormal with Paul and Ben Eno.
Do dreams really mean anything? What's the difference between night dreams and daydreams? Can dreams point the way to and through world crises?
Hello there, and welcome to the 291st broadcast of Behind the Paranormal with Paul and Ben Eno. I'm Ben, and all those dreamy questions came from my co-host and partner in the paranormal, my dad. And as we talk with our guest tonight, please feel free to call in with your own questions about dreams, or whatever it is you want to talk about that has to do with the subject. You don't have to give your full name, but the numbers tonight are 401-766-1240 locally, and 800-449 from anywhere else in the United States.
Wait, but I say 800-449-1240.
Oh, sorry.
We're not that well known.
Sorry, I'm really out of it.
Okay. But first, it's time for our weekly paranormal contest question. Now, last week we asked, what U.S. state has the highest number of reported Bigfoot sightings? The winner was Curtis Fong of Seattle, Washington, who correctly answered the state of Washington with 522 reported sightings. Interestingly enough, Washington is followed by California with 425 sightings, Oregon with 227 sightings, and Ohio, of all places, with 220 reported sightings.
Well, you shouldn't be surprised with the whole Mothman thing.
Well, I suppose not. But anyway, that information came from the Bigfoot Research Association, www.bfro.net.
Oh, the BFRO. Anyway, this week's question is, what scientist who worked for Project Blue Book started out as a UFO debunker and ended up a UFO believer? So win that right and get a copy, an autographed copy, I should say, of my dad's most recent book, Turning Home God's Ghosts and Human Destiny.
Now, as you may have guessed, our subject this evening is dreams, and our guest is Craig Simm Webb, Executive Director of the Montreal-based Dream Foundation. He is a professional speaker, trainer, author on dreams, consciousness, and communications, as well as a songwriter and musical performing artist and inventor. His life changed 20 years ago when he nearly drowned on a whitewater rafting trip, and he suddenly began recalling up to 10 dreams a day, and having powerful visions, dream visions. Since then, he's graduated from McGill University, participated in pioneering dream and consciousness research project at Stanford University and Montreal's Sacré-Cœur Hospital, designed electronic, these new glasses are something else, designed electronic self-development tools and worldwide distribution, and helped produce Making Contact, a weekly radio show on 200-plus international stations for 17 years. But we got a way to go to accomplish that. As an expert for major motion pictures, Fortune 500 corporations, and 1,000-plus international media, Craig has published pioneering concepts about applied psychology, dreams, communications, creativity, and human potential. For over 17 years, he has led numerous training programs and over 1,500 miles of transformational outdoor quests. He has presented empowering training to CEOs, celebrities, and world-class athletes, doctors, professors, best-selling authors, and many other celebrities. He's also a musician, and if we get it to work properly, we're going to hear one of his songs during our break halfway through the show. And his websites, www.dream.ca and www.edutainer.ca. That's edutainer.ca.
Haha. Play on words there. Craig Simm Webb, welcome to Behind the Paranormal.
Hey, good evening, gentlemen. Thanks for the glowing intro and for having me on, too.
Oh, I know. I had to stop because we wouldn't, the show would be over. We wouldn't get to meet you. So.
Yeah,
okay. So Ben's going to start us off with our questions this evening.
Okay. So my dad and I have some important questions about dreams and world events and other things like that, but let's start with the basics. How did you become interested in the practical benefits of dreaming?
Well, I guess my whole interest in dreams, not just the benefits, kind of came when I was sort of kidnapped. That's how I describe it. I was a good little scientist studying physics, and kind of minding my own business and studying the objective world in the provable way I sort of grew up with. But then all of a sudden, pretty much out of nowhere, because I never really followed dreams. I wasn't against them, but I never really followed or read much up on them. I started remembering up to about 10 dreams a day, as you just mentioned. And that sort of came a little bit after I had a near drowning, stuck under a whitewater raft. So I kind of had, a near-death experience. One was the physical symptom, at least that's how I describe it, of sort of getting stuck under the raft. And I think the source cause might have been some part of me was dying off in my objective science degree, and I wasn't sort of getting in touch with intuition and some of the inner information that can really benefit people, like dreams and all the other, subjective insights that we can get.
Okay. All right, so how long have you been composing and performing music?
Well, they kind of have gone in parallel for me. I picked up a guitar when I was 19, on my birthday. Nice birthday gift to me, and within a month I started writing my first song, I think, pretty bad at that point. People said, don't ever quit your day job. But I persevered and got a bit of training, and I think just passion allowed me to start writing more and practice the skills, and then I found I started dreaming, like, pretty often. Only about 1.5% of people, or less than 1.5% of dream reports anyway, so maybe even quite a bit less in terms of population, so that they contain sound or music, and I get music dreams almost every day, so maybe I was starting to, court the muse in dreams and music.
Yeah.
You guys ever dream music or sound?
I do.
Yeah, Ben's into music. Go ahead and talk about it,
Well, no, I've had dreams. I had one reoccurring. Well, it wasn't reoccurring. It was like the same place, but different things happened, but with the same people. It was weird. And like I was walking by this house, and like all the windows and doors were open, and it was all lit, and like people were like partying inside, and there was this awesome song playing, and I was like, it sounded like a awesome psychedelic band that I listened to, and I was like, I want to know how to play that. And then I forgot everything about it, and I woke up. Like I knew how to play it too. Like I learned how to play it, and then I woke up and I forgot.
I guess we got to get like a MIDI out jack on your head for
I wish.
recording those tunes. Audio out.
If that was possible. If only that was possible.
Well, you can always sort of do a little bit more intentional dreaming, which is one of the things I teach, or it even goes as far as what I call designer dreaming. And you could return to the scenario and maybe tap, if it sounds like a really valuable tune, and start to get the seed and tap the creative muse, and then maybe record it. Do you record or play music also?
Well, I was originally in a band for like a year, and then that fell apart, so now I'm trying to reform the band, but I don't have a drummer. And we were going to record, but then that failed miserably, and I have found ways to record that don't involve actual mics and stuff. Like but I have like a ton of effects pedals and all that, and I need to get a clean sound and all the horrible things that come with it. So no, I haven't recorded anything that's high quality.
Well, you could at least collect the seeds. That is, sort of record or use a little voice recorder. Sometimes even a cell phone is what I encourage people for recalling their dreams. As long as you turn off the radio part or the cell phone part of the phone. It usually has a voice recorder, and you can catch your dreams.
Oh, yeah, I actually have done that. I've, well, not with the dreams, but I have used my phone to, like, record songs I've played.
Oh, perfect, yeah. So it's a great dream recall tool, because actually if we're just speaking without really opening our eyes, which helps for dream recall, we're staying a little bit, a brain state a little bit closer to sleep. So actually some kind of voice recorder can be even better than a pad or a pen and pencil bedside, a pen and notepaper bedside. So either little tips for recall, but maybe recording some of these magical musical melodies, like Paul McCartney. Have you ever heard the first lyrics for the song Yesterday?
Oh, yeah, it was Scrambled Eggs, right?
Yeah, Baby, How I Love Your Legs.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard that. I heard that story from a guy who was he was a promoter for them back in the 60s.
Right. And then Paul took about a month to own it. He asked the other Beatles, "Hey, I think I stole this little melody," because he woke up with the melody from somebody. Have you heard this before? And none of his, the other Beatles or his managers heard it. So after about a month, but after he owned it, which I think is kind of a key step, he sort of said, "Okay, I'll work on it now." Then he suddenly dreamt the title, Yesterday.
Oh, yes, the Legend of Lost Chords.
Yeah.
I've only heard it played once from the guitarist in my band. But anyway, continue, Dad.
Oh, okay, no, it's an interesting conversation. We're kind of off script here, but speaking of musicians and dreams, we're cousins to Julia Ward Howe, who wrote the Battle Hymn of the Republic.
Okay.
And she woke up, it was sometime during the American Civil War, and she just woke up, she felt compelled to just sit down and write the words to the Battle Hymn of the Republic. And, that was it. That's where it came from. So, maybe the runs in the family or something.
Did there within like minutes, or?
I'm sorry?
He had finished, I guess, the main lyrics within minutes?
Yeah, she just sat down and wrote the whole thing out right there before she forgot it.
Oh, I love stories.
Yeah, they didn't have cell phones in those days, so I guess you couldn't do what Ben was Ben were talking about. But anyway, they get kind of back on our questions here, and I guess he kind of answered your next question in a way when he's talking about Paul McCartney.
Yeah. Yeah, that answers. Any
other well-known musicians?
Well, a lot of other musicians besides Paul McCartney have had that happen to them.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Well, let's get into
Billy Joel there. I guess a little closer to you guys.
Okay.
And others, he says he dreams most of his lyrics and melodies and arrangements, and sort of takes it from, I guess, dream space. Obviously, the musician has to know their craft and be able to turn it into something polished, but the seed can really make a difference. Kind of the core that we wrap the various things about can come from dreams and really touch the world. For example, Sting, the man from UK there, I guess.
Oh yeah,
true.
I'm not sure if he uses his dreams or has employed his dreams for actual song content. I haven't had a chance to speak with him, but his whole career path to become, I guess, an individual musician it was inspired by a dream, and that's the title of his debut album, Dream of the Blue Turtle.
Wow,
so,
that makes a lot of sense.
Life guidance can really change our whole path. He describes that whole dream. If you want, we can talk about it, but lots of other great things too.
Okay.
Well, I never heard that story. Oh, cool.
I heard Brian Eno also.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Most New Age musicians are like that.
Yeah.
But he started the whole thing.
Well, Neil Young, there's quite a few too, and Handel's Messiah.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, Richard Wagner and other sort of older, I guess, composers.
Yeah.
And then some of the newer people, even Ziggy Marley says he often dreams about his dad, Bob Marley, and he wrote a whole song about dreams.
Well, you often wonder, people, prodigies like Mozart and people like this. We draw a lot of we operate a lot on the multiverse theory that you are a lot of other people already in parallel lives, and you pick up stuff.
Absolutely.
And I can't see any other way some 3 or 4 year old's going to get up and start performing for the emperor or the pope, writing his own,
Yeah, unless they gave him like a Matrix plug-in download at age 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Well, anyway, to get back to dreams as such, there are plenty of opinions, Craig, that dreams are just reflections of waking life and really don't mean anything. What's your response to critics of that kind?
Well, I certainly court everybody's viewpoint, and it's actually valuable, I think, that we have sort of different views, different insights. One key principle that a lot of people don't know, and sometimes that goes with the viewpoint you mentioned, is that the ideas that we hold, and when we start dealing with subjective experiences like dreams, which come to us alone and start, pretty much anyway, then the ideas and beliefs we hold end up being really important. So if we think they're total garbage, well, probably we'll throw away the baby with the bathwater if there was something useful. But we may also filter out some of the valuable dreams. So I encourage people, like anything, keep a bit of an open mind, but also don't throw out your discrimination, because some dreams, like maybe after your big MSG pizza at midnight, probably don't have a lot of content that's going to be useful to interpret.
Yeah.
Although the message might be good. If you have a nightmare, don't have a big MSG pizza at midnight.
Yeah. Okay, what is the MSTP?
Oh, MSG pizza? Oh, that's like a big pizza with lots of MSG on it. Or some foods can affect our dreams, so it's kind of alluding to...
Yeah, like peanut butter.
Oh, yeah, Ben was telling me about the peanut butter thing.
Yeah, if you eat peanut butter before you go to sleep.
Yeah, well, any food that affects our physiology can, to some degree, affect our sleep and our dreams. Medications are actually very strong on different ones.
Yeah, imagine that. Now, others, especially those who are into physics, feel that dreams are very important because they reflect, as I just suggested, real lives. You're living in parallel. I mean, do you feel that that's possible, or have you run into that, or?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of say a little buzz phrase I made up, and actually we sell T-shirts with that on if people are interested. Life is just one station on the dial.
Yeah.
Sort of waking reality is really, and that's kind of a new concept for some folks. that you can actually consciously tune, kind of with the part of your mind and yourself that's listening to the radio show right now. You can consciously tune into other realities and have your memory and your logic and everything there with you. And in
That's what we find, yeah.
Yeah, you guys do lucid dreaming?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I wanted to get into this a little bit later when we get into some really weighty kind of stuff here, but at this point, every dream I remember is a lucid dream. Every dream I remember.
We'll get you into the lab then.
Yeah, I think, again, this is all part of, all in the context of some major goings-on that we have these, I developed theories about the multiverse and its relation to the paranormal starting really in the late 1970s. Now, it wasn't just me. Other people were, as you know, are into that. But I may have been the first to actually apply it in the paranormal trenches when investigating ghosts or reincarnation or UFOs or anything like this. So be that as it may, it has, since the early 90s, there have been contacts in a very practical and down-to-earth way when there is not a language barrier between us and those neighbors, so to speak, and if you want to say parallel worlds. And we created a big stir on Coast to Coast AM in May when we started to come clean with some stuff that I felt very uncomfortable about, because I've spent many years building a reputation for feet on the ground and very practical and this sort of thing in this field, and it's not easy to maintain that. And then you come out and you say, well, this is what's going to happen between 2012 and 2016, or at least what we seem to be picking up from contacts elsewhere and elsewhen. And this is way beyond spirit guides and any of that nonsense. I mean, these are practical communications, in our opinion, and a lot of it has taken place.
Dreams or another modality?
Beg your pardon?
And the information is coming through dreams or some other modality?
Dreams, meditation, and sometimes just moments in waking life at certain locations.
Yeah.
And,
strong intuitive hits.
Actual conversations. Like I talked on the air last week we were talking about confused ghosts. And I happened to be, I was a student for the priesthood in 1976, and I happened to be contacted by someone from one of the churches we would visit on the weekends, and they said they had this moaning ghost with footsteps in their attic and all this, classic ghost. And I was already
Halloween there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, actually, we told that on Halloween just before, and I spent 5 days sitting in an attic. 5 evenings, I should say, and within 2, the thing had noticed me. I shouldn't say the thing, I should say the guy, because it was a human being. So we don't believe in spirits or the dead, and these are people. And it was an amazing story of how he had remembered being in a plane crash, but now he was in this church. He couldn't get out. He was eating the food in the parish hall to get by, and then finally and his memory was changing as we were speaking, and all this wild stuff, that didn't make any sense to me. Now it does. But the point being that this is the kind of communication we have. And sometimes this occurs in dreams. Sometimes it occurs during meditation. And Ben and I are very, very different kind of critters. He's not a carbon copy of me by any means. He has different gifts.
Nope.
But we do share dreams at times. And we are... And people all over the world wrote to us. Almost 4,000 people wrote to us after that appearance in May on Coast to Coast, saying they were having the same dreams or similar ones. They were meeting the same people or creatures. They were having similar experiences. And I said, no, all these people can't be nuts. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, because we're getting ahead of ourselves. We had other questions for you, too, but...
that's a good way to do it. I mean, I think it's extremely valid, in fact, in our... Are
you hearing this? Are people telling you that... Are you running into people who are having the same dreams or who think something is up?
Well, I think there's a lot of folks, including me and many colleagues, who think something's been up since about the 60s in terms of a huge change of, I think, really focus. We're shifting from the super objective focus, which has kind of been my personal life path, to more of a subjective focus where we can tune into some of these other channels on the dial, however you want to think of it. Yeah. Dreams, intuitions, clairaudience, maybe spirits. When they're friendly, I guess we call them angels, right?
Yeah.
I'm not surprised, but even more recently, I think that trend, or maybe it's a quickening, is speeding up quite a bit. There's sort of, I guess, the group consciousness. Once you get a certain speed, maybe it kind of accelerates or snowballs. But these last couple of years, and especially these next few lot of, I guess, concern, emotions moving through. People look for new ways to kind of get their information.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what we're seeing. And one of our frequent guests, a novelist by the name of D. Erlon, who's also an expert on the 2012 prophecies of the Mayans and wrote a book on it. Something I kind of take with a grain of salt, that particular aspect of it. But anyway, he says that whatever's happening, it is an astronomical fact that all sorts of electromagnetic phenomena are going out in the galactic neighborhood and are affecting, among other things, dreams and people's consciousnesses and our concept of time, which as if Einstein was correct, and no reason to believe it wasn't, then time itself doesn't have any objective existence. It's a function of our consciousness. So time seems to be speeding up, according to him, and one does look around and see evidence of that. What say you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, also, the time seems to speed up as we age. I think one of the factors is when there's less new info, we start to get more speeding up. As we age, everything becomes a little bit more of a habit. But there's definitely other factors. As we start to tune into more information, which we're kind of bombarded now with the Internet and cell phones.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
I think that's going to show us that basically there's less free space, and so time seems to speed up.
Yeah,
it's definitely subjective.
Yeah,
Even though the clock moves at the same tick-tock, I think, the physics part of it is sort of the objective, but subjectively, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, let's try and get our feet back on the ground here.
Okay, back to something entirely different. Can you give some examples of how dreams can be helpful in the waking life?
Yeah, sure. They can. First off, the most important thing for people is to realize that they can actually benefit us in life, because many people kind of disregard them or they don't know what to do. But simply put, they could be a great healing, and that could be emotional, sometimes even mind, body, and moving even into the physical. Nightmares are often the first step for many people. They can check out the website at dreams.ca. There's an article there that says, Nightmares? Lucky you. And I encourage people to have a little laugh with the title, but to read on, because we don't want people to keep having nightmares, but really it is kind of like an oil light or maybe a smoke alarm in our house. It's a warning. Something's out of whack in the engine, or something's out of whack in our psyche, something's out of balance, or maybe an upcoming choice that we're going to make if we just sort of stick on the same course of action is going to be problematic. So the nightmares kind of give an early warning. And if we listen to them, we can often avoid even worse things in our waking life. The nightmares upset us and wake us up. But rather that we get it early, rather that we see the oil lights and take the engine in for a tune-up, than, have an engine meltdown in 100 miles or whatever other accidents might come in our waking life. So nightmares can be great applications, and there's so many others. We talked a little bit, there's lots of others, but we talked a little about the creative inspiration application.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about music there, but Stephen King, many authors, screenwriters, actually personally met and interviewed James Cameron, who did Titanic and Avatar. He said the key idea, I guess, for his breakout movie, which was kind of Terminator, one that sort of made it big for him, came directly to him in a nightmare.
Yeah, but Lovecraft as well, our local hero here.
Okay.
Yeah,
and Avatar, and many other, I guess, artists and creators use dreams as kind of a source channel for key info. In fact, it was actually James Cameron's mom who dreamt of tall warrior blue people, and James liked it, turned it into a movie.
Wow, that's cool. Okay, we're going to take a commercial break here briefly, and we're going to, can we play, and what's the name of the song you sent us, Craig?
People can listen to it maybe after break or if there's time. It's called Lucid.
Wherever I've been in my life, I've never felt as good as when I'm with you. From a dream, this melody just rang into my life, yeah. In this way, the seeds of the soul are born. Well, my friends and family and lover, they're very dear to me, yeah. But without the muse, I'd be forlorn. She told me wherever I've been in my life, I've never felt as good as when I'm with you. And I said,
Okay, we'll play a little more as we come through the rest of our break. That is you or Paul McCartney singing, Craig?
It's a Paul McCartney wannabe. That's me.
Okay, very good. Okay, well, we have to do a bit of a commercial break here, and we will be right back. You're listening to Behind the Paranormal with Paul and Ben Eno on CBS. I always say that on WOON 1240 AM and ONWorldwide.com in New England's beautiful Blackstone River Valley. Okay, the producer's telling me to keep talking. Okay. We are going to be telling you, of course, about Amazon Kindle, our marvelous sponsor here. And Amazon Kindle is coming out I believe this coming week with Amazon Kindle Fire. And this is a new device which will not only allow you to read upwards of 1 million books, and I should say 900,000 books, magazines, newspapers, etc., including 4 of my own, but also allow you to download movies, radio shows, television shows, things of this kind, and you can have it all in your pocket. And $199, you can't go wrong. So you can get this at Staples. You can also find out more at Amazon.com on the web. And again, it is a marvelous gift, a marvelous investment. And the next step in the Kindle phenomenon. Kindle has really taken over the e-reader market. And of course, it does save you a lot of money because you don't have to have these $4 a gallon trips to the bookstore to get books and this all sorts of expensive stuff. And the books themselves are much cheaper than they are if you buy them in printed form. So check it out. Amazon Kindle and Amazon Kindle Fire, $199 and going down. Amazon.com or Staples. Okay, we're going to keep going. All right, well, we'll just come back. Do we have any more of the song? There we go.
My problem, and I found the dreams often called them. I just couldn't believe no one told me this before. Put an end to nightmare reruns. Guarantee you'll have much more fun if you learn to awaken in your dreams. See, she told me wherever I've been in my life, I've never felt as good. As when I'm with you.
Okay, and we are back behind the paranormal with Paul and Ben Eno on WOON 1240 AM and ONWorldwide.com with our guest, Craig Simm Webb, and musician, Renaissance man, dream expert, speaker. So, Craig, where can people get that on CD?
Yeah, it's available at iTunes and Amazon and I guess most of the music outlets online. Or they can go direct to the website of my, artistic side, which is edutainer.ca, and pick it up on the products page there. And that song was actually inspired by, more than 2 dreams, but at least 2 central dreams. So maybe it's got some of these little seeds of soul built right into it. Yeah,
could be. Well, let's get back into the subject then of dreams in our last half hour here. In our ongoing paranormal work, as we've already begun to say, Ben and I have been working very much to my own shock, because I've never been interested in dreams all that much before, with and in dreams and meditation for a number of years now. And as I said, we created quite a stir on Coast in May when we went public with the belief that we and many other people are being, for lack of a better term, prepared, I don't know by whom, in part through these dreams to fulfill certain educational and rescue responsibilities during a coming global disaster. Now, if you told me I would have been talking about this a few years ago, I told you were crazy. I have a very firm academic background, and I don't like talking about this, but I don't think there's any choice. Anyway,
you can say like me that you're sort of a recovering thinkaholic, but you still hold on to it.
I know I don't like it. I don't want it. It defies decades of my scholarly training, and I am absolutely certain that it's legitimate. I'm absolutely certain it's legitimate. Anyway, but it's it's not us. Not that we're so special. This is happening to lots of people, and 3,000 of them, 4,000 of them wrote to us after this. And again, they can't all be nuts.
Anyway, specifics.
Well, yeah. Let me give you an example. I have lengthy dreams of meetings that are occurring in. There's a rather pleasant place. I wouldn't call it heaven, but I mean it's an interesting parallel world, I suppose. And I refer to it as the good world because in another, in the parallel life, my family and I live there. But there are lengthy meetings with a number of different people and beings of different species. Okay, and again, it's all very physical. It's not some kind of spirit world or any of that stuff, which I don't really believe in. There is a certain species that is very noble, that is very with it and together, and is instructing others on what will occur during this period that will affect a number of parallel worlds, not just us. Somebody sent me a photograph just last week of a wispy figure that he felt was present when he was taking these photos, and he was on a spiritual retreat. And when he sent me the picture, it's one of the ones that I had been meeting with the previous night in a dream. Now, this guy was from Washington State. Never heard of him before. And I haven't mentioned a lot of this stuff on the air. It's not like he listens to the show when it was just sort of, wish fulfillment or suggestibility here. But that kind of... And yet I was totally unsurprised. I was not surprised at all when I saw this picture. Because this seems to be going on all over the place, and people, even if they don't have exactly the same dreams, are writing to tell me that they were at meetings and this sort of thing, and they will describe places that I have not mentioned on the air to which I have been in dreams. So obviously some shared dreaming seems to be going on.
Did that pick up at all, I guess, for you, or from stories you've heard since last summer, significant?
Yes.
So you might not have tied it into that, but note that, I've seen mutual dreaming and mutual theming, which is kind of, similar dreams, but not exactly the same perception. But I've seen it for many years, but there was definitely a big jump and more people talking about it, and I think more people getting interested. And, like I said, the beliefs and the intrigue and the emotions attract the experiences since the movie Inception came out.
See, I don't...
It kind of opened the world for a lot of people. Wow, this is possible? Shoot, let's try this.
Now, see, I haven't seen that. In fact, I watch very little... Yeah, well, I watch very little television and very few movies, and one of the reasons is I don't have time, and the second thing is plausible deniability.
Well, it's a bit Hollywood. It's sort of a story,
well, I don't have a lot of respect for what they do, and they don't usually get it right, although sometimes they sort of hit it.
They're sort of giving out entertainment. But the suggestion that, hey, this is possible kind of sparked a lot of people, and perhaps that's some of what you've seen. Hey, maybe we can meet in dreams.
Well, anything is possible. And again, maybe it's suggestibility, maybe it's archetypes flaring up because of the electromagnetic phenomena. I don't know, but I would like nothing better than to go creaking into some restaurant with all you folks, in 2025 and have a big laugh over what we thought was going to happen after nothing happened. But who knows? The thing is, as I always say, just be prepared by doing what you're supposed to be doing and fulfill your responsibilities and love your family, and that's really what I want to do.
Grow an organic or grow a garden, a home garden.
Grow a garden, yeah, that's right.
Sort of have a bit of your own source of support and sustenance, which will become important. There's some big shakeups coming.
Well, we are working with a group of about 10 people, several of whom are very prominent names, and we're in private discussions now about what. They're having similar experiences, and they were wondering, what do we do about it? Do we have a public, do we have a meeting?
Need a plan, right?
Yeah, well, several of us are broadcasters, and there is an initial suggestion about how to approach that, but I can't say anything right now, but we'll
include me in the think tank, because I've got some pretty interesting, quote-unquote, inside info from my own and from others that may
I was going to suggest that. Yeah, perhaps add you to the group. Well, we're having our next sort of tele-meeting, so to speak. Teleconference is going to be in January. I'll get you into the group.
Oh, that'd be great.
That'll be good. Okay, we appreciate your insights. Okay, well, there we are. Ben, do you have any comments as we proceed here? Got some more questions here.
Yeah, what about nightmares? How common are nightmares, and do they have any suggestions for people who are suffering from upsetting dreams?
Yeah, that's good, because that's probably a big chunk of the audience.
Yeah.
Well, first off, we should just mention, and it's connected with nightmares, so I'm not really digressing here, that people who don't recall dreams too much, usually because of one or two reasons, either they don't really think it's too important, so they haven't really opened that channel of info. Or, even worse, they had a lot of upsetting dreams, sometimes from a serious breakup or maybe an accident, car accident, or somebody died or something. But the upsetting dreams and nightmares, recurring dreams, were bothering them in the daytime, I guess, keeping them tired, etc. So that they sort of plugged it or sort of closed that channel of info and stopped it. And that's bad. That's kind of like putting a Band-Aid over the oil light. Okay, it won't bug us for the next 20 miles, but then we're in trouble. So that first thing people might see if they start recalling, and often I see this in my teleclasses during week 1 or 2, that people have a lot of upsetting dreams or nightmares, and that's good. I say you're starting to clean up the emotional backlog. You're starting to have your subconscious yell at you for the things you haven't been listening to. And I guess about 1 out of 2 people has had a nightmare or an upsetting dream in the last month. Or if you're a child, they call them bad dreams. It wasn't a nightmare, it was just a bad dream. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then once they sort of clear out the little backlog, if people do actual exercises, or even just a simple technique like the one that's mentioned in that article at dreams.ca, on the website there it says Nightmares Lucky You. There's an article to help end recurring dreams. Usually you can move through that stuff pretty quickly, like in a night or in a few nights if you just focus on it a little bit and start to court the info that's behind the nightmare. So there's some tips there. Lucid dreaming is actually one skill, but there's other ways to sort of put an end to these nightmare reruns, as I said in my song, that can really help people, first of all, have better rest, but also get the life lessons that are usually associated with some of these common and worldwide common recurring themes. You ever been in a chase dream or a pursuit?
Yeah, not for many years.
Recently.
I haven't had a nightmare in decades.
Oh, and you recall your dreams fairly well?
Yeah, you know why? One of the things I have is a very odd sleep schedule. I don't know if this has anything to do with it or not, but when I worked for the local Metro Daily newspaper, I developed the odd habit of getting up early and working till 2 in the morning and then taking a nap in the afternoon.
Okay, that's actually really good to split up your sleep into 1 or 2 or more portions rather than just one deep, all out.
Oh, good. I'll tell my wife you said that.
Oh, yeah, well,
So
it might not be great for your social life.
Yeah.
But for your sort of keeping in touch with the other side or the other channels on the dial, the other parts of you, the other sources of info, that's really helpful because you're not going as deep and far out on just one cycle. You're sort of going for a few little dips into the deeper state.
That's what I find, yeah.
Yeah, and so that's helpful, and probably you don't have too many because you've cleaned up the backlog. So I encourage all the listeners, check out the tips there on that article, Nightmares Lucky You, and if it feels like something that you'd want to pursue, and we can talk about a few more of the benefits that we didn't get to.
Oh, sure.
As soon as you get through the nightmares, there's so much great stuff and really, really practical things waiting. For example, maybe in business, because people say, wow, I don't have time for this stuff, even though maybe there's something useful, it's not for me. How about Larry Page? He's one of the 2 founders of Google. If he hadn't, I guess, taken his little nap and listened to his dream, he would have probably never had the success because he dreamt the key core idea that began Google.
Wow.
So $200 billion later, boy, that was a valuable dream.
I guess so. It's funny. I was just going to ask you about specific examples of successes or breakthroughs people have had through dreams.
Oh, yeah, 5 Nobel Prizes, you name it. We talked about some of the artistic ones, but sometimes science, inventions, sometimes, I guess, and simple things for people, and they don't have to be like a famous person to have these. Often moms have really helpful dreams how to sort of protect their children, or if there's something wrong with the diet, or maybe that they can catch a little medical problem beforehand. You can have diagnosis dreams. Mm-hmm. One of the big, I guess, applications. It's not too much talked about, sort of healing dreams. But for about 1,600 years, I guess, back before and a little bit after Christ, the entire Mediterranean region sort of used what are called Asclepian healing temples, the dream temples of Greece and I guess some other countries around the Mediterranean, mm-hmm. where people came on pilgrimages after, a month of horseback or maybe just walking on foot even to have healing dreams in these little special temples with kind of a priest. And that's actually where we get the snake around the staff on the AMA medical symbol, and many of the medical symbols worldwide comes from the Asclepian healing dream temples because the Greek god Asclepios has a snake around his staff.
I never knew that.
So yeah, the early, I guess, alternative or integrative hospitals of the day have sort of been forgotten in our culture as a really great way to heal. It's for diagnosis. Sometimes we can tell what's going on inside us. Sometimes prodromal. You guys might like this because it's kind of paranormal.
Yeah.
We can actually tune into body problems, even things like cancer or more serious issues, serious accidents that we might have. We can tune into it before the event or before anybody knows about it, at least in the body. And so I've had many people and can give references who go to the hospital because they've had a dream and just to get it checked out and find that, wow, they're glad they caught it early to avoid something much more serious.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like there are a lot of practical uses, and of course the question of deja vu might arise.
Absolutely. And that's a little French. I didn't know you guys spoke French, right?
Oh.
It means already seen. Did you know
yes.
that?
Well, in the Woonsocket area here, a lot of French Canadians.
Oh, okay.
A lot of tourism contacts between Quebec and here. So.
Oh, terrific.
Yeah.
Well, déjà vu, and there's other variations. Déjà visité, already visited. Sometimes people can sort of be in a location and all of a sudden have a flashback to an earlier time. Or déjà rêvé, which probably some of the listeners have experienced but haven't named it, means already dreamt. So in a dream, you sort of know you have a certain past or you remember other dreams, which is kind of an interesting one. Sort of like you have parallel lives, one of them in dreams, one of them in waking.
Well, that happens to me all the time. There are certain places that I go in dreams with my wife. Yeah. There's a little town in Pennsylvania. Why Pennsylvania? I don't know. I'm hardly ever there, but there was a little restaurant on a corner, and my wife and I have eaten there several times while passing through the town in different dreams.
Okay, so it's just food for thought then.
Well, quite literally, yes.
If you'll forgive my bad pun here.
We have a caller with a question.
Great.
Very good timing. And are we on here?
No.
Okay. If we do lose you, please call back because we're kind of...
Yeah, or drop by a dream.
Yeah, right. Oh, dear. Did we lose the... Oh, I guess we lost... Okay, well, I asked the caller, please call back. We're kind of on a wing and a prayer technologically here, so...
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, so
lots of the callers have probably, or potential callers, so maybe people will call in, have had really upsetting recurring dreams. That ends up being one of the best benefits, something like the chase dream or falling or naked in public. You ever had that one?
Not naked, but occasionally I sort of just being in skimpy clothing of some kind.
Undershorts or something,
yeah.
And these are worldwide themes again, so really important life lessons. We're not just talking about, random ate a bad dinner kind of thing. We're talking about really key lessons that if we catch it in the dream, it's kind of an emotional lesson usually, then we can help ourselves with recurring waking scenarios. So I call them recurring daymares. But we get a lesson that works on all levels. In other words, we improve our relationships. Maybe we work better. We include our assertiveness. That's often connected with the chase dream. Or the naked in public one's often sort of self-confidence. A place where we're feeling really embarrassed, exposed. And usually the key thing with that dream is the other people don't notice, right?
Yes, seemingly that's the case.
It's kind of unusual. And so the lesson or the message is, hey, you know what? You're feeling self-conscious in some scenarios, and you could have more confidence because nobody's noticing except you. So just relax and enjoy and be your true self. Enjoy the nakedness. Interesting.
Okay. Yeah, just to remind you, we were coming out of the wire here, but we still have a time for a call or two. 766-1240, 401. 766-1240 or nationally 800-449-1240. Okay, there he is. So let's hopefully the caller's calling back here. We can get that question in here. But okay, there are what other dreams are common that one might call archetypal or symbolic other than the naked one?
Yeah, well, there's you guys have probably had this. This is pretty common for radio announcers. The dead air dream, or the unprepared for my my show. You ever had that?
Yeah, somehow I get that feeling a lot.
I don't.
Okay. So Paul, or I guess Ben's a little more relaxed about it.
Yeah.
But some radio announcers often have that, and it's a variation actually on the nightmare, or usually upsetting recurring dream of unprepared for the exam, or late for the bus. It's a pretty close one.
Yeah.
But where something that we're probably something coming up in our life soon. We're feeling unprepared and we're being stressed. And it might be a warning dream. Sometimes it's like, hey, you know what? You haven't prepared. You're not ready for not necessarily an exam at school, but some important deadline at work or some presentation or something. So the dream comes as kind of a helpful hint. Get moving on that.
Well, one of the odd things too with me is that as I say, just about every dream I remember is a lucid dream. And even when I have dreams of those archetypes in them, with the lack of clothing or even being chased or whatever, I will try to take control. For example, though, the last one I can recall when I was being chased, I simply flew away. All right.
Okay. Well, we would call that, we'll give you 3 stars out of 5 for that. Not to knock you, because you're definitely ahead of the curve and that you're conscious, but if you use a little logic, like an extra star would be, hey, wait a minute, if you're safe in bed, why run away? That might be some important part of you need to meet and integrate who holds the key to your growth.
Well, I've done that before. I've turned around and faced it, and there's been nothing there, which is interesting. But I also enjoy the flying, so I do that.
Oh, well, there you go.
And in some of the semi-naked dreams, I'll look for clothing, and I'll put it on.
Okay, well, here's a challenge for you next time. How about just go totally naked and see if you can face that embarrassment feeling and feel good about it?
Well, I don't know. I'm much too Puritan for that. This is New England, after all.
Even in dreams, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
okay, so, did we take the question over the phone? Okay. All right, here's the caller. We're going to decide not to take any more chances with the machinery here. This caller has a dream where he gets lost all the time. He gets lost in school, lost in a boat, out at sea. He's always getting lost. Okay. So what's that about?
Yeah, well, it's probably not about the TV show. We don't know for sure. I usually like to interpret the dreamer rather than just a standalone dream, and that's a little more empowering. So we hear their other dreams and their life and their feelings, etc. But we'll take a little bit of a shot here in the 10-second soundbite. Usually lost is, and any dream, here's kind of a key tip for all the listeners for other dreams too. Any dream usually links with waking life through the feeling in the dream. So we just saw with the naked in public, we're feeling embarrassed about something, self-conscious. In the case of loss, he might just ask himself, hey, where in my life, especially the day that I have the dream or the day before, sometimes even the day after. But where am I feeling lost or not like I'm getting anywhere, or maybe I'm not clear where I'm heading, or I'm just kind of spinning my wheels? Have I made clear goals? Do I have a plan? And am I making headway and sort of getting to something that feels fulfilling? And most likely they're not. And the dreams will mirror the waking scenario. It's not too revelational, but once we get it, maybe it'll give us a little kick in the butt to focus, do some goals, and really move ahead.
Okay. Yeah, well, good. Thank you. All right, well, we are coming down to the wire here. Now, Craig, tell us about your website, and can people reach you one-on-one, or how would they do that?
Oh, absolutely. Well, there's lots of great free articles there at dreams.ca. That's www.dreams.ca. That's the Dream Foundation that I direct.
Mm-hmm.
And about nightmares, lucid dreaming, dream interpretation is a big one, so understanding dreams. If people join the newsletter, it's pretty occasional, but they'll get a free podcast all about dream interpretation, and also you can actually hear James Cameron share his dreams. It inspired some of his key films to join the newsletter.
Yeah.
But most interesting to people to follow up, and I don't make as much money, but I usually encourage it just because it's such a breakthrough for everybody who takes them, are the teleclasses that I lead, online 10-week teleclasses. And we sort of have a lot of fun. But everybody tries experiments each week, and we have an email group list where people report results. And we have a conference, and sometimes show images or video. But we create a bond, and everybody really makes some major breakthroughs on whatever they're interested in. So I encourage that. And if people want to go a little deeper, if it's a little more private, I do offer private counseling. They could visit dream-interpretation.net and contact me there. And if they like the music and want to hear some of the artistic side, or ever interested in, presentations for their local organizations, they can go to edutainer.ca. That's my speaker edutainer site.
Excellent. Well, you sure have it covered, Craig. I'll tell you that.
Oh, thanks,
and we will be in touch off the air. I think we got something interesting going here.
Thanks.
Yeah. I have one quick question, very quick, because do you run into people who believe they've been abducted by aliens? Because obviously we're always hearing about that, and dreams can, as I understand it, be a factor in at least thinking that you're abducted by aliens. You run into that much?
Absolutely. Especially around a specific experience. We haven't talked about it tonight, but maybe we'll take 1 second on it, called sleep paralysis.
Well, we're going to have you back so we can...
Oh, well, that's good. Is that going to be a positive recurring dream? I hope so.
Yeah. Hopefully you want us to fly away or take your clothes off.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, no clothes off. On the radio it might be okay, but... Yeah, the sleep
well, I don't know.
paralysis...
We got us on webcams here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The sleep paralysis is pretty common. About half of people experience that, and it's a fancy name for waking up and not being able to move, usually just for a few seconds or up to about a minute or two. And often when we get overtired, so if you're studying late for the exams or whatever and you throw off your sleep cycle, don't be surprised if you have this experience. And not to freak out, really. You're safe in bed, you can't move. I mean, when else have you ever been so relaxed that you're in bed and can't even move your muscles?
Yeah, really.
But close to that and usually a little bit more upsetting. But a similar experience is when people actually start having sort of demons in the room, evil presence, or sometimes a demon on the chest. It's called being hagged.
Yeah.
And or aliens in the room and they feel like they're being abducted, etc. I think it's one aspect of what alien abduction experiences might be from is that it came in a dream state.
Okay.
It's sort of an interpreted thing. But who knows what else is out there.
Excellent. Well, we're flat out of time, unfortunately. Craig Simm Webb, everybody, dreams.ca. Craig, we'll be talking to you again, and thank you so much. It's been a great show.
Thanks. That was great. And happy nightmares to everybody who learned some of this stuff.
Great. Okay, good night now.
Good night.
Okay. Real quick bit of paranormal news here, folks, before we let you go. We had on a recent show, I believe, I don't know if it was this one or CBS, but we had Steve Bassett, our good friend, who was a major a major ambassador, so to speak, for UFO disclosure. He's working very hard as an activist for that. And we talked about the White House petition that was signed. Apparently now it looks like there were over 12,000 people who signed it. And the White House promised that if 2,000 people signed it, they would do something about it. They have a whole place where you can submit these petitions. But anyway, here's what Steve reports to us. The White House has responded to the disclosure petition. The final signature count was 12,078. As expected, it was written by a low-level staffer from the Office of Science and Technology Policy, a research assistant. The response was unacceptable. This is to demand to disclose what the government knows about UFOs, right, if anything. The response page includes a feedback option. Much feedback is expected. PRG, that's the Paradigm Research Group, Steve's group, will address the White House response on Monday, November 7th, that was today, via an international press release, which we have not received yet, and op-ed submissions to various newspapers. So we'll probably have some more news on that. In the meantime, we have come to the end of the road here, apparently for today, anyhow.
So don't forget, all our podcasts of all our shows are available at www.behindtheparanormal.com.
That's right. And CBS even has theirs already up, so that's good.
Yes. And on our regular CBS edition on November 13th, our guest will be Dawn Yun, author, who feels that hauntings can be fun, or some sort. There are all kinds of hauntings of kindred spirits and things like that can be fun. And we might have something to say about that. So we'll be live at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on CBS New Sky Radio in Boston, Pittsburgh, Detroit, and Seattle, and online at www.newskyradio.com.
And we want to thank our producer this evening, Steve Bianchi, and we'll see you next Monday, November 14th, when Ben and I will host an open line show on a number of different paranormal topics. So we leave you this evening with a pungent comment from the great Irish author George Bernard Shaw. Life does not cease to be funny when people die, any more than it ceases to be serious when people laugh.
Thanks for joining us on our great cosmic journey, and we will not be finishing the show right now. So
what?
Well, we have to stretch. We have.
Oh, okay.
For once, we are early.
Yes, that's very unusual. Anyway, stay tuned for information on this future shows on this White House petition. Again, what occurs is that the White House on its website has a place where people can file a petition for just about anything that they feel should be looked into by the government or should be dealt with. And if you get 2,000 signatures, they supposedly pay attention to it.
Did we mention something about that when he was on the show? That this
Yeah, we did. We explained it. But 12,000 signatures. I told him, Steve is a wonderful guy. He's very positive, and I said, your faith in the government is touching, but nothing's going to happen. They're not going to. And sure enough, 12,000 signatures, and it doesn't seem like anything's going on.
Yeah, they never do anything. Bureaucracy is a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Right. So
now we shall see you next time on our great cosmic journey.
Behind the Paranormal.
Return to this radio frequency 167 hours from now for another edition of Behind the Paranormal with Paul and Ben Eno.